I found out I was dead in a gas station motel off Highway 93. The clerk handed me a folded local paper when I paid for coffee. Bit of a mess on I-15, he said. Couple folks didn't make it. I nodded, said nothing, took the paper out of habit. Back in my room, I skimmed it while my boots dried by the radiator. Page 6, bottom corner. Local man killed in fiery crash. Name: Mark Dalton. Age: 40. Truck driver. Survived by wife Lena. Memorial service pending. I read it twice. There was no picture, just a stock photo of a semi engulfed in flames. The article claimed I'd gone off the road near Elko, Nevada. Vehicle identified by VIN. Body too damaged for visual confirmation. Identification confirmed by spouse. I set the paper down, poured the coffee, sat on the edge of the bed and looked at the wall for a long time. I delivered a load to Missoula the day before. Truck intact. No crash. No flames. No funeral. I was alive. So who was buried? And who wanted me buried? I didn't panic. Didn't call anyone. Just pulled out my phone and checked the time. 6:42 a.m. Montana was cold in April, but the roads were clear. I stared at my screen until it dimmed, then tapped the lock button, watching my reflection flicker back at me. Still breathing. Still me. I kept my tools in a locked compartment under the bunk in my cab. A second phone. A hard drive. A thumb drive encrypted with files only I could access. Years of habit from living alone on the road. I packed my things without rushing. Paid for 2 more nights at the motel. Left the "Do Not Disturb" sign on the knob. Back inside, I unfolded the paper again. Read every line. Someone had gone through trouble to fake this. VIN number matched the truck I'd sold 2 years ago. Same make. Same model. Different plates. Different outcome. I wasn't angry yet. Just aware. Something had gone wrong somewhere. Or maybe not wrong at all. Maybe this was going exactly as someone wanted. I plugged in the burner phone, turned it on for the first time in 6 months, and began making a list. The first call I made was to Lena. Straight to voicemail. I tried again. Nothing. Left no message. Tried her sister next. No answer. Then our neighbor, Rick. Then my buddy Vic from the yard. Phones rang, then died. Like someone had flipped a switch. By the 3rd hour, I stopped calling. I opened Facebook. My old account still active, barely used. Messages, tags, condolences. So sorry for your loss, Lena. Rip, Mark. Can't believe he's gone. Photos of us together at the lake last summer. Comments piling up like dirt on a coffin. Then I noticed the ads. Life insurance companies. Final expense planning. Memorial keepsakes. An algorithm had decided I was dead and wanted to help monetize it. I clicked none of them. I refreshed Lena's profile. Black and white photo of us at our wedding. In loving memory. Across the top. She'd updated her relationship status. Widowed. It had been 4 days since the article ran. I closed the app. Took a walk around the block. Cold wind through the empty streets. My boots made too much noise on the pavement. I stopped at the corner store. Bought a burner SIM card and a pair of cheap sunglasses. When I got back to the room, I sat on the floor and opened the encrypted thumb drive. Inside, scans of our joint account info, house deed, insurance policies. I opened the life insurance file. Policy activated 2 years ago. 750. 0. Beneficiary. Lena Dalton. My signature was at the bottom. Legit. I remembered signing it. She said it was just in case something happened on the road. I hadn't thought twice. Until now. I opened my email. No new messages. Searched for anything from the insurance company. Nothing. Searched my name. Found a death notice Lena must have submitted. It was brief, formal. Tragic accident. Beloved husband. Gone too soon. There was a link at the bottom. Donate in Mark's memory. It redirected to her PayPal. I stared at the screen, Hands still. No anger. Just a widening gap inside me, like something had broken loose and started drifting. I turned off the lights, sat on the bed, listened to the hum of the motel heater. She'd buried me. Collected sympathy. Maybe money. Maybe more. But she didn't know I was watching. I crossed state lines at midnight. Took the back roads into Spokane, headlights off every time I passed a turnout. My rig was parked in a friend's lot up near Flathead under a tarp. Clean. Untouched. No one knew I was back. Didn't stop at the house. Instead, I checked into the Meriton Inn on Sprague Avenue. Low rise, no cameras, cash only. I signed in under the name Lucas Hale, a name I used once in Laredo when a job went sideways and I needed clean paperwork fast. The clerk didn't look twice. Room smelled like bleach and cigarettes. One working lamp, off-white walls. TV mounted crooked. Didn't matter. I wasn't there to sleep. At sunrise, I drove out to a small storage unit I'd kept since before the wedding. Not even Lena knew about it. Unit 218, same combination I'd used since Afghanistan. Inside was a single metal case, military issue, dented on one corner. I brought it back to the motel, placed it on the bed, opened it slow. The old laptop booted with a whine. No cloud backups, no links to anything shared. Just files, financial records, password logs, encrypted folders labeled in my shorthand. I checked our joint bank account. The balance was still zero. The insurance payout hadn't posted yet, but she'd already withdrawn our savings. That wasn't hesitation. That was timing. I opened the deed to the cabin upstate. Both our names, purchased during a good year. Remote Placino cell service, no neighbors. A getaway spot. We hadn't been there since last fall. I still had the trail cameras packed from the last trip. A plan was forming. Quiet, precise. Not revenge, just data. I logged into DMV records using an old credentials trick from a buddy in logistics. No movement on Lena's license. No new vehicle registered. But she'd changed her mailing address to a P.O. box in town. I updated my files. Cross-checked against Lena's public posts. Scrolled her friends list for unfamiliar names. Nothing obvious. But her photos had changed. Fewer smiles. More wine. Always indoors. I wasn't looking for proof of betrayal. I already had it. I was looking for patterns. Schedules. Habits. You don't go back to a house that buried you. You watch it from a distance. And when it starts to move you, follow. The trail camera went up in less than 20 minutes. Strapped it to an old pine behind the cabin. Angled toward the front porch. Motion activated. No sound. Uploads triggered whenever it picked up movement. It was the same kind I used for tracking elk when I needed peace more than people. Then I waited. Back at the motel, I mapped out time frames. Lena worked at the university admin office 9 to 5, Monday through Thursday. That's what she told me. But her GPS history pulled from our synced car app, still accessible, showed multiple trips to the cabin. Weekends. Midweek. Always brief. Always under 3 hours. I waited 6 days before the first alert came in. 1:43 p.m. Thursday. Still frame showed Lena unlocking the front door. She wasn't alone. A man stood beside her. Tall, dark blazer. Clean cut. Arm around her waist. Next image. Champagne bottle. 2 glasses on the porch railing. She leaned into him, laughing. He kissed her cheek. I downloaded the license plate from the second image. Blue Chevy Tahoe, newer model. Plate number clearly visible. I ran it through a paid search site. Registered to Andrew Collier, 39. Occupation. Insurance claims, adjuster. Worked for North Horizon Mutual. Same company that held my life insurance policy. I stared at the screen for a long time. It wasn't just personal now. It was procedural. Andrew had access to claims, timelines, verification protocols. He would have seen my file, walked Lena through the payout structure, known how to navigate the red tape. knew how to keep it quiet. He wasn't just sleeping with my wife. He was helping her bury me on paper, on record, in legal terms that translated grief into cash. I zoomed in on one frame where Lena raised her glass in a toast. Her smile looked real. So did his. I copied the footage, labeled it with the date and time, and backed it up to 3 separate drives. One in the motel safe, one off-site, one in a storage locker under a name that didn't exist. I wasn't going to confront her. Not yet. First, I wanted to see how deep they'd dug. The crash site was supposed to be just outside Elko, mile marker 218. I drove there on a Friday. Sky was clean. Traffic was light. According to the article, I'd veered off the road, collided with a ditch, and burned. Truck totaled. Body unrecognizable. Story sounded tragic enough to pass without scrutiny, except it didn't happen. No scorch marks. No disturbed earth. No guardrails bent out of shape. Just dry brush and gravel and emptiness. I pulled over anyway. Walked the edge of the road. Looked for anything, a scar in the pavement. Oil stains. Debris. Nothing. I drove into Elko and asked around. Tow yards. Local fire station. EMTs. Everyone said the same thing. No such crash reported. No truck pulled from a ditch that week. No driver found dead. One older mechanic remembered hearing about it from some lady calling in advance about insurance stuff. He thought it was odd why ask about claim procedures before the body was confirmed. He didn't remember the name. The coroner's office was next. I told them I was researching a traffic fatality for a legal inquiry. Gave them the date and location. A woman behind the counter pulled a thin file. One entry. No ID confirmation. No DNA. Burned beyond recognition, the form said. I asked who approved the cremation. She flipped the page. Next of kin. Lena Dalton. Her signature. Quick and clean. Confident. I leaned on the counter. Was there an autopsy? She shook her head. Body was never brought here. Transported directly to Serenity Memorial. The crematorium. Serenity had a reputation. Quiet, quick, no questions. Used mostly for unclaimed bodies or those without family. Cheap. Efficient. Easy to hide mistakes or plant them. The form said the body was accompanied by a copy of my license and a death certificate issued out of state. Both provided by Lena. No photos. No fingerprints. Just her word. I thanked the woman and left. Back in the truck, I sat still for a long time. I hadn't just been declared dead. I'd been replaced. A stranger's body burned in my name, turned to ash, and buried under paperwork. And all it took was one woman's signature. The insurance office was housed in a corporate plaza on the east side. North Horizon Mutual, Suite 301. I didn't walk in. Not yet. Instead, I accessed the policy documents through my private backup account. Years ago, I'd scanned everything Lena asked me to sign. Mostly house stuff. Joint accounts. But one day, she'd handed me a stack of forms, just in case something happened on the road. That's when the life insurance policy was drawn up. 750, zero payout. Standard terms. Accidental death clause. Beneficiary. Lena. My signature was there at the bottom. I remembered signing it. She'd smiled, kissed me on the cheek, handed me a beer right after. But the policy on file now wasn't the same one. This one had medical waiver statements from 2 doctors saying I had no pre-existing conditions. I'd never seen those. And my date of birth was wrong. Off by 1 day. So was my listed height. My weight. My blood type. I zoomed in on the signature. Looked almost right. Smooth stroke. Solid angle. But the middle initial was off-looped like a cursive E instead of my sharp L. I'd seen it before. 3 years ago, Lena tried to co-sign a car loan without telling me. Said it was a mistake, that the dealership had added my name by accident. I didn't push it then. Thought maybe she'd panicked. Maybe it was just money stress. But the signature from that loan was identical to the one on this insurance form. Same fake loop. Same hesitation in the K. She didn't even bother to change it. I pulled up our old emails. Found a PDF where she'd sent me a scanned copy of the policy for records. The original. The clean version. The one I actually signed. Then I compared it to the one on file with North Horizon. Altered, forged, full of convenient errors. And no one checked. No one questioned the switch. After all, I was dead. I copied everything to a separate folder, renamed it Proof 1, backed it up to 3 locations. This wasn't about catching her anymore. This was about documenting her. I still had access. Lena never changed the login to the home surveillance system. Maybe she forgot. Maybe she didn't think she needed to. After all, the dead don't check their own cameras. I logged in from the motel. System was old 4 indoor feeds, 2 outside, all time-stamped, all archived for 90 days. I pulled footage from the day after my accident. October 14, 12:17 p.m. Lena in the kitchen. She poured coffee, stared out the window, phone in hand. 12:21. She took a deep breath, tapped the screen, face lit by video call. Her mother, face pale and wrinkled, appeared. "How are you holding up?" Lena pressed the mug to her lips, eyes wide, glistening. "I'm managing." Voice low, practiced. He was just gone. I paused the footage. Wound. Slowed it down. Right before the call connected, Lena reached for a bottle of eye drops. 2 quick squeezes. Blinked twice. Let it sit. Tears on demand. 1:03 p.m. She moved to the living room. Lit a candle next to a framed photo of us at our 10th anniversary dinner. Put a scarf over the lamp for softer light. Camera caught it all. This wasn't mourning. This was stagecraft. She wasn't grieving. She was performing. That night, I went deeper. Downloaded the rest of the footage from that week. The night after the staged call, Andrew showed up. I watched them sit on the couch drinking wine, laughing. Her head on his shoulder, his hand on her thigh. 3 days after I'd supposedly died. No black clothes. No tissues. Just bare feet. Open wine. A movie paused on screen. I archived it all. Compressed the files, backed them up, added them to the folder. Proof 2. What made it worse wasn't just the lies. It was how well she wore them. How easily she moved between tragedy and comfort. She had a script, a scene, a whole production. And behind every good production, there's usually a director. I turned my attention to Andrew next. Andrew Collier had the kind of online presence you only see in people who think it's a resume. Polished LinkedIn, clean-cut headshot, mentions of client advocacy, claims support, and end-of-life navigation, one of those corporate eulogies turned into a bio. But the deeper I dug, the less perfect it got. Insurance adjuster, 8 years at North Horizon. Before that, smaller firm out of Oregon. Prior to that, nothing. A blank stretch. Gaps in employment. Missing details. I ran his name through court records in 3 states. Nothing criminal. Nothing recent. But then I started looking at civil filings. Probate cases. 3 names came up. 3 women. All recent widows. All had filed claims through North Horizon. All had been romantically linked to Andrew Collier within 3 months of their spouse's death. First was Lisa Gardner. Husband died in a fall accidental misstep. Off a deck. 400. Zero payout. 2 months later, she and Andrew were seen together at a gala. Second was Michelle Tran. Husband's car caught fire in a garage. No mechanical failure found. Andrew moved in a month later. The third hit different. Claudia Reyes. Her husband died of a self-inflicted gunshot wound. Suicide. Or that's what the report said. Payout was smaller, only 250. Zero. Still, enough to turn heads. Claudia died 6 months after that. Pills and wine. Ruled an accident. No charges filed. But local gossip hinted at something else. Her sister told a reporter Claudia had been isolated, nervous, paranoid. Said Andrew had changed her, made her question what was real. I read the article twice, then saved it to the growing folder. Proof. 3. He had a pattern. Target. Seduce. Accelerate grief. Facilitate payout. Disappear. He wasn't just a parasite. He was a technician. And now he had Lena. But what neither of them knew was that I wasn't a variable anymore. I was the anomaly. The one that didn't die. And I was still recording. I made the call on a Thursday. Used the motel's landline. No caller ID. No digital trail. James Avery. The voice answered. Flat and familiar. It's me, I said. Need your help. He didn't ask who. Didn't need to. Still breathing? For now. James and I served together in the reserve. He went JAG, then civilian law, state protection, fraud, the kind of paperwork warfare I never had the patience for. He owed me one. I'd pulled him out of a ditch in Kandahar when things went sideways. We hadn't spoken in 3 years. I gave him the short version. Faked death. Forged documents. New boyfriend. Payout in progress. I didn't dramatize it. Just facts. Straight and cold. Can you prove it? He asked. Already started. I'm in, he said. By the weekend, we had a plan. James set up a living trust in Montana, independent, off-grid, protected under a different name. All my assets were transferred there. Bank accounts, retirement, even the cabin. A digital firewall between me and the mess Lena was building. As far as the world knew, Mark Dalton was dead. That gave me room to move. We registered a new identity under a low-visibility LLC James had created for clients needing discretion. He'd used it during divorce settlements and whistleblower cases. I became Eric Ford. No backstory, no public presence. Just a name on documents and a quiet shadow behind everything Lena thought she owned. I didn't want to confront her. Not yet. It was better this way, quiet, invisible. Being dead meant I didn't have to explain myself, didn't have to shout to be heard. I could move behind glass while they played out the script. Let them think they'd won. Let them think they were clever. Meanwhile, I filed a fraud flag with North Horizon through an anonymous channel, attaching only one thing, a screenshot of Lena's forged policy next to the real one. No sender, no context. Just a whisper in the system. A ripple. Enough to get attention without breaking cover. I wasn't hunting them. Not yet. I was setting the trap. New haircut. Trimmed beard. Glasses. Worn flannel over a clean white t-shirt. I looked like someone's cousin from out of town. That was the point. North Horizon Mutual occupied the top floor of a beige business park off Trent Avenue. I parked around the back, walked in through the side door, and rode the elevator to the 3rd floor. Receptionist looked up. Blonde, polite, slightly bored. Can I help you? I'm here about a policy, I said. Filed by Andrew Collier. I'm his cousin. He asked me to check on some details while he's out of town. She clicked her keyboard. Do you have the policy number? I rattled off the one from Lena's forged claim. Relationship to the deceased? I paused. Family friend. I knew Mark. Andrew's handling things on behalf of the widow. She frowned slightly. I can't give you specific information without authorization. I'm not asking for specifics. Just general status. I gave a rehearsed smile. Warm but forgettable. He just wants to know if there's anything holding up the process. You know how probate can be. She sighed, looked around, then leaned in a little. As far as I know, the claim's under review. Some inconsistencies flagged last week. Standard procedure. Happens all the time. I nodded. Thanks. That's all I needed. She handed me a card. If he has questions, he can contact our internal examiner directly. Name's Caldwell. I thanked her, turned, and walked out slowly. In my shirt pocket, the pen camera was still recording. Every word, every look. Back in the car, I uploaded the file to the backup drive and labeled it Proof 4. Caldwell, Internal Examiner. That meant my anonymous tip hadn't gone unnoticed. There was motion inside the machine now, the kind Lena couldn't control, and Andrew couldn't sweet-talk. They still thought the only threat was time. But time was mine now. I didn't need to catch them. I just needed to stay dead long enough for them to bury themselves. It was time to pull the first thread. I created a new burner email through an encrypted browser routed through 3 countries. Disposable, anonymous, untraceable, unless you knew exactly where to look. Subject line: Policy 8417 5632 Fraud Concern. Recipient: North Horizon Mutual, Internal Fraud Division. Attachment count: 6. The body of the message was short, 3 lines. Inconsistencies found in the documentation for policy 8417 5632. Attached are materials that raise serious questions regarding cause of death, confirmation process, and beneficiary involvement. Recommend immediate internal review before payout approval. No name. No claim. Just pressure. The attachments were curated carefully. The 2 insurance forms real and altered side by side, metadata tags showing when and where the fake was created. Lena's digital signature log from a forged e-signature site she'd forgotten to clear. EXIF data from the cabin trail camera footage showing Andrew and Lena celebrating with a timestamp 3 days after my supposed death. The coroner release form approved without a confirmed ID. DMV pull logs showing no crash report filed. One last item. A scanned copy of my real driver's license, timestamped 1 day after the crash, used to rent a car under a different name. Quiet evidence. No accusations. No drama. Just enough to make someone in an office cubicle pause. Insurance fraud isn't fast. It's a slow bleed. Policies get flagged, phones stop ringing, emails go unanswered. You don't get a knock on the door. You get silence. And that's what I wanted. Silence on their end. Panic on hers. The power didn't come from shouting. It came from letting them feel the weight shift under their feet, letting them wonder who else knew, who else was watching. Andrew would tell her not to worry, that he had connections, that it was a formality. He wouldn't be able to see the trap because men like him think everyone else is playing catch-up. They hadn't realized the man they killed was still making moves. But they would. Soon. The envelope arrived 2 days later. No return address. Just her name typed neatly on the front. Inside, a USB drive. And nothing else. No note. No signature. Just silence. The footage on the drive was time-stamped and numbered. Clip 1. Lena on a video call, dabbing artificial tears beneath dry eyes. Clip 2. Lena and Andrew on the porch of the cabin, glasses clinking. Clip 3. The inside of the house. Wine bottles scattered. Laughter. Clip 4. A bank statement showing a 47-0 withdrawal the morning after I was confirmed dead. Clip 5. Metadata from the forged insurance document created on her laptop. Final clip. A photo. Me. Sitting in a coffee shop off Interstate 90. Clear timestamp. October 13, 2:19 p.m. 1 day after I supposedly died. I'm reading a newspaper. Smiling faintly. The headline: Trucker killed in Nevada blaze. I wonder how long she stared at that image. Whether she cried or screamed or said nothing at all. Whether she showed it to Andrew or hid it. Whether she finally asked herself, what if he's not dead? No reply ever came. No phone call. No text. Just digital silence. Exactly what I wanted. I wasn't trying to provoke her. I wasn't threatening her. I was reminding her. Reminding her that ghosts don't always stay buried. That the story she built was crumbling from within. And that every lie she told had been recorded. In perfect, cold clarity. She cracked on a Sunday. Not visibly. Not in public. But the kind of cracking you see in the pattern: the late-night login to her PayPal. The frantic deletion of old posts. The changed privacy settings. The cabin's trail cam caught her pacing alone 3 days in a row. Andrew didn't show. But her calls to him did. The burner number I used to monitor Andrew's phone account picked up 24 missed calls in 48 hours. 6 voicemails. Short texts. We need to talk. Call me now. Someone knows. He responded only once. Say nothing. It'll blow over. It didn't. On Tuesday morning, North Horizon made the first move. The insurance payout was frozen. A formal notification was issued to the listed beneficiary, pending investigation into potential discrepancies involving the death claim of Mark Dalton. 2 hours later, Lena's inbox received a legal notice. Subpoena. Andrew got one too. I watched from a motel room less than 6 miles from our house. Same town. Same streets. Different man. News traveled quietly. No headlines. No reporters yet. But her friends stopped posting condolences. The donations stopped. Messages dried up. She changed her profile picture to a landscape. Removed our wedding photos. Deleted her widow status. I saved every edit. Every timestamp. Andrew didn't come back to the cabin. Didn't come to the house either. Cameras caught him entering a lawyer's office Thursday afternoon. Damage control. Too late. I didn't feel satisfied. Just steady. They were unraveling because truth doesn't rot. It waits. And they'd built everything on a lie. The courtroom smelled like disinfectant and paperwork. Fluorescence buzzed overhead. Stiff benches. Faces I didn't recognize, all except 2. Lena sat at the defense table, pale, eyes sunken. Andrew beside her. Calm. Bored even. Probably expected a quick hearing. A procedural formality. Until I walked in. The whisper started in the back. The judge's pen froze mid-sentence. Lena turned, saw me, and went white. Her lips parted. Her knees buckled. She dropped straight out of her chair. Andrew stayed still. Blinked. Face frozen, mid-expression, like a bad mask. I didn't look at either of them. Just stepped into the witness box and handed over my ID. Your Honor, my attorney said, this is Mark Dalton. Legally alive. Present. The alleged victim of insurance fraud, forgery, and conspiracy. The courtroom went quiet. Lena didn't get back up. Someone helped her to a bench along the wall. Andrew's lawyer whispered in his ear. Andrew nodded once. Then again. Your name? The judge asked. Mark Dalton. And are you deceased? No, sir. Just patient. Andrew pled the fifth. No answers. No emotion. Just silence and shame. The prosecutor turned to me. Mr. Dalton, would you like to give a victim impact statement? I shook my head. No, thank you. Would you like to say anything to the defendants? I looked at Lena for the first time. Then at Andrew. Then at the clock on the wall. No, I said. I've already said everything I needed to. I left the courtroom as the judge scheduled trial dates. Didn't wait for the media. Didn't linger. Some men get justice by raising hell. I got mine by staying quiet long enough for the guilty to speak. I live in a town now where no one knows what I used to be. Population just under 900. Elevation just over 8,000. Colorado mountains thick with pine and silence. I rent a cabin that backs onto a trail no one walks. The nearest grocery store is 30 minutes down a winding road that eats city people in the first snowfall. People call me Daniel Holt. My birth name. The one that never made it onto Lena's paperwork. I take photographs. Landscapes mostly. Wildlife when I'm patient enough. Sold a print to the local bar last fall sunrise over a frost-covered ridge. They hung it over the fireplace. Nobody asked where I learned to frame a shot like that. They just said it made the place feel warmer. I don't talk much. People around here don't need you to. They just need to know you're quiet, you pay your share, and you don't ask more than you're willing to give back. That suits me fine. On a Monday in late October, a letter came. Manila envelope. Government seal in the corner. Inside, a single-page statement from the FBI. Andrew Collier. Sentenced to 12 years for fraud, conspiracy, and wire tampering. Lena Dalton. Sentenced to 8. Plea deal. Full restitution. Confession submitted. No apology letter. No final words. Just facts. I read the page twice, then folded it in half. Walked outside. The fire pit was already burning. I fed the envelope into the flames. Watched the edges curl. The seal bubble. The names blacken and disappear. Then I went back inside and made coffee. No music, no news, just the quiet and the hiss of wind against the window. Some stories don't end with a confrontation or an apology. They end when you decide not to carry them anymore. I don't think about Lena now, or Andrew, or the house, or the bank accounts, or the day I saw my own obituary next to a coupon for windshield wipers. I think about the creek behind the cabin, about light on fresh snow, about how it feels to wake up and not owe anyone your name. I died once. Turns out, I liked who I became after. This story was brutal. But this story on the right-hand side is even more insane.